there's a vacuum of topics out there where nobody's covering certain things. And at the moment when I switched into Islam, it was Islam. I remember I did like 100 videos in a row, basically making fun of Christians. And somebody sent me a message and was like, hey, are you ever going to do a video on Islam? And then during this time, of course, there was terrorist attack after terrorist attack. And it's just, I don't know, I was traveling around the world and seeing sort of things from different perspectives. And I think once you can get outside that American bubble, the world is a different sort of playground when it comes to topics that are relevant.
Sure. I mean, I've talked about it before, kind of the Americentric view of terrorist stats. Like they'll be like, oh, you know,
Mhm.
we have a problem with white terrorism in America. It's like, yeah, it may be in America, but like
Yes.
not anywhere
I,
else.
see, that argument has like popped up and been shot down so many times. It's just, I can't believe people still bring it up. Like I see it on Twitter and people will reply with the accurate response, which is to, say exactly what you said. And then I wonder if there's ever a thought process from the person that said it where it's like, oh, maybe I should never say that again. Like
No,
in America,
probably
they're,
not.
right, they're talking about bringing 10,000 Muslims in, refugees from Syria. I, honest to Christ, have 10,000 Syrian refugees living in my town in Germany. Like, we have 2 million Syrian refugees. Like, what are you people talking about? I love Americans, but they are seriously so self-involved and narcissistic. It's like world record setting levels.
Yeah, they I don't know, it's just this view of we're so great, we're number one, and we should help people. And I think while we're on the topic, we could bring it up. And I'm wondering how you feel about my full view on this because I am pro refugee. Legitimate victims, however,
Uh-huh.
I think the vetting system is quite fucked. I wish, and I would say before we bring anyone else in, we should address that. But I'm not against it in theory, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I like how you called it the vetting system. Like it's
That's
not. There
true.
is no vetting system.
That's true.
Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. There was an article this week that talked about how we've lost track of like 250,000 Syrian refugees.
Oh shit.
Like we don't know where they are. They're not reported at the places they were supposed to be, and they could be in any country. Like we don't know. We have no idea. It's a real cluster F over here. But as far as pro-refugee, I mean, that sounds pretty PC to say that. I mean, that is like, reminds me of Princess Diana. She had a cause. She wasn't just going to go around and wave at people. One of her causes was she was anti-landmine. Now, I don't know anybody on the planet who's pro-landmine. Maybe the ISIS guys are. But like, yeah, I mean, it's nice to say you're pro-refugee, but guess what? The refugees are coming to Wyoming.
It's
I mean,
true.
there are logistical things. And I understand why Americans don't care about Islam. I really do. Because you have to focus on problems that start with you and then go from there. You got to work outward. So, like, if you have to take a piss, that's problem number one. Now, you don't have, if there's a, locust attacking the crops in Madagascar, that's going to be way down the list. You got to hit the toilet first.
Yeah, we don't really prioritize well. That is true. I don't know. Yeah, pro refugee probably sounds a little more disingenuous than it is because I do acknowledge the problems, and this is something I've been bringing up. I wonder what you think about this. But in terms of vetting, I almost think it's impossible to vet because sometimes the people who the refugees who will go amok in these countries have no ties to ISIS. They have no ties to. They don't have any previous involvement in any kind of terrorist activity. Like the guys in Cologne, they were just guys. They were just like
Yeah.
I don't know how you could possibly vet that out in any significant way. Um,
Yeah, and that's the point. People lose track of the fact that we're not just talking about terrorism. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other topics. And like you say, the general average Muslim is going to be problematic for a bunch of different reasons. And now at this point in the conversation, usually you spend the next 3 hours talking about not all and the spectrum. Because we
yeah,
can't we have to talk in generalities. There's 7 billion people on the planet, and we have a limited amount of time on this earth. So unless we're going to sort of broaden out a little bit, it's pointless to even talk. But I mean, you talk about these refugees, and you mention them because they are in the news now, and because it's topical, and it makes you sound good to say you're pro-refugee because you're putting your name to this. You're not anonymous, right?
Sure,
And
not at all.
right, and you're broadcasting this, and this is your brand. This is you're signing your name to it. So, do you really want to be the guy that goes, you know what? Yeah, I'm in favor of helping humans, but come on, we got to help the humans in Germany and Sweden. What about them? What about the cost of this? What about, we got to, shut the doors on some of these people. That's going to make you personally come across as an asshole. Now, that's not going to
Sure.
help you socially. Your family's not going to really, view that favorably. It's going to hurt your chances at hooking up. It's kind of, you're going to be the villain if you are realistic on a topic like that. For example, why did you not mention the children of Uganda who are starving and being, recruited into armies and stuff? It's
Because it's not very topical at the moment.
there's that, and it's also like you only have a finite amount of energy to sort of spread out in all these subjects. I just think it's a little bit disingenuous to be like, yay, I'm virtue signaling, I'm pro-refugee. Meanwhile, you ignore thousands of other things that you could be talking about.
Sure. No, if you want to call me out on any regressive shit, people predicted that. So
Yeah.
that's fine. That is perfectly
So,
fine.
but I suspect that you are a guy who comes from a good place. There's many of them. Many of these people, the impulse is a good one. What did you say? I'm a refugee. So am I. If you show me a story of some Syrian refugee, I'm going to be like, I empathize with these people. I want them to have happy lives. But like, I live in a town literally with thousands of new refugees here, and I want to call you when there's a terrorist attack here, and my girlfriend is shot. I want to call you and ask you who you are pro then. And are you aware that your sort of open door immigration policy or your let all the refugees in policy sitting on your ass in Wyoming led to my girlfriend getting killed? Then you might sort of be like, no, we're not going to do a show on that.
It's true. I'd say my position has changed. It shifted as more information has come in. I'd say Cologne was a big wake up call. Like, oh shit, maybe there really is something to all this. Maybe it's time to take other factors into all this because yeah, there is a big difference, and I think that's something that a lot of people have a hard time acknowledging. The people that we are bringing in from the Middle East, the majority of them are misogynists. The majority of them are homophobic. The majority of them don't believe in freedom of speech. They don't believe in democracy. Now, I can say that I'm in favor of helping people who are genuine victims of war or terrorism, but I think that's a hurdle that a lot of people, ultra like PC liberals, have a hard time getting over. To acknowledge that the people we're bringing in are not exactly cherubs. They have ideas that are completely contrary to the society that we've built.
Yeah, and a lot of people freak out about sitting in judgment of other people in general. They view that as confrontational. They view that as hypocritical. Because what are you saying? Are you saying that you're perfect? Are you saying that we as a nation are perfect? We have misogynists here. We have rapists here. We got all sorts of stuff. We're not, booting everybody out who we find a problem with. So who are we to sort of screen people coming into our country? I think this actually leads to a larger issue, which is who is setting our immigration policy? Did we ever get a say in that? Is there a vote? Like, I don't know what the criteria is, and it changes radically from country to country. And it used to not be a problem. For me, immigration to America, a lot of other countries, these are huge countries. We got a lot of space, we got a lot of room, and it's already sort of crowded and, it's basically messed up going city to city. You're not going to notice, basically. I mean, it's almost like pissing in the ocean. But now you really got to be more specific. So, like, let me ask you this. You talked about Cologne.
Sure.
I live in Germany. We just took on 2 million Syrian refugees, and we just had the Cologne incident where hundreds of women were molested and some were raped. Would you change your opinion about Muslims and Islam and the acceptance of these groups of people if it was a city in Wyoming on New Year's Eve that this happened, and if Wyoming had 2 million new Muslims in it?
Sure. Well, I think that'd be the most people in Wyoming. But
And how many terrorist attacks in Wyoming would it take for you to be like, you know what, maybe we need to address this? You see what I'm saying?
I think I'm already to that point. That and a couple other incidents. I I don't know if I'm fully to the point like shut everyone out, but I'm certainly to the point where put this on hold for now. I'd say in Wyoming it would just take one incident.
Yeah, and I get that. And look, I'm not saying you have to be spearheading the anti-Islam movement from, like you're a young guy, you live in a remote part of the world. I don't even know if you've met a Muslim. I don't even know why you're interested in talking about the issue, to be honest.
It's kind of hard to ignore
But
at this point.
yeah, but here's what irritates me is when guys will sit in a safe area of the world where they don't have to be confronted by this, and they're intellectually dishonest, or they try to mitigate the situation and minimize it, and like say, well,
Yes.
you know what, this is the KKK, so why don't you shut up about the Muslims? And this happens from on the top too, like from the top down. Like Angela Merkel would talk
Ugh.
about the Nazis. She talked about the Holocaust and said, look, we're not perfect either. And even she is changing her position, which is one of the most historically disastrous positions I've ever seen a sitting president take in terms of the future of their country.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was a big clusterfuck. I think a lot of the comparisons you're saying, like the KKK, is disingenuous. But what I really hate is what you mentioned before. I think it was in a Young Turks video that you reviewed about Cologne, which is, oh, we have a rape culture here, so we can't judge them. They're not rapey. It's like it's not
Yeah,
even close.
yeah, it's really weird. Like I talk about this quite a bit, but I think I've dug down to what they're actually doing. It's like almost a math equation. They're basically bringing up problem B, and they're
Yes.
saying, look, here's problem B, and this problem B you are associated with. This comes from your country, so you're involved with this one. And now, unless you can solve problem B, you're not allowed to talk about problem A. Now, now it would be amazing if you just told these people, look, oh yeah, rape in America. A study just came out. We had 0 rapes this year. Yep, absolutely, we eradicated rape in America. Can we now talk about what happened in Cologne? Like, is it okay now? Can we not do two things at once? Like, these people don't know how to multitask.
One
It's
track
it's
minds.
yeah, and once you analyze how they do this, like the strategy that they use to try to derail your criticism of Islam, you see it pop up elsewhere. They do it on a variety of topics. And this is what's helpful. This is like how, all the fallacies, like all these sort of Googlers, they figured out, oh, there's a list of fallacies. This is awesome. I can just spit these out whenever I disagree with something. Those are
Wait.
actually helpful.
Do you mean the per capita fallacy?
Exactly. That's it. You mix per capita with non per capita, right? So you
Oh.
have this list of fallacies, and people use them sometimes. Honestly, 98% of the time, people don't know what the ad hominem fallacy is, but it does exist. And these are shortcuts because, like I said before, we live finite lives. And it would be helpful if during the course of a discussion, you could instantly debunk somebody and shame them and say, this is currently what you're doing right now. I've seen it 1,000 times. Either stop it or I will disengage from this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a lot of buzzwords. It's people finding any way possible to address something without actually having to address any of the meat of the argument. Like let's skirt past this because it makes me uncomfortable. I've noticed that like people will be like, "Oh, that language oppresses me." Like don't say when we're talking about the immigrants, don't say all the immigrants. Don't say they. It's like it's what you're saying.
Yes.
It's like we need to we're just having a conversation. I don't
Mhm.
no one besides Donald Trump actually means all immigrants. Like that's ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah. And there's really something to that, to the whole straw man thing. I mean, the reason people do it is because they can win. You can win against a straw man. And why do they want to win? Is because they want to beat their chest and have a victorious moment in public. It's far more difficult to like take on these issues for real. And one of the words I cannot stand, and I hear it pop up, is nuance. And nuance is another sort of buzzword, and I honestly avoid that word more than the N word now. That is the N word for me. Like I
Nuance.
just, dude, it really enrages me when I hear it because things like that, things like people will drop, hey, correlation is not causation. And I honestly don't think they know what they said. Like it sounds smart, but it doesn't apply to the situation. And people really, I don't know, they want to have conversations. They want to be right. They want to win. And yet, and they'll kind of do whatever it takes to to get to that point, even if they're not actually winning, but in their mind they are.
Sure. I mean, and at that point they feel validated in their argument, even if they didn't really have to go through the work of presenting any evidence. It becomes just a game of bravado and chest beating and jank growling.